Welcome everyone to our season preview today, where we are talking Capital Volleyball with head coach Amanda Hubbard ahead of what we will call the 2020-21 season. Thank you for joining me today, Coach.
Of course, my pleasure.
So given the year that it's been, the elephant in the room is the fact that your season is generally finished about 4 or 5 months ago in a normal year. So can you talk a little bit about what it's been like with your preparation and mindset and everything related to moving your season months later than initially planned?
As frustrating and devastating as it was to not have a true season in the fall, we took advantage of the opportunities we had to train. So normally when our first years come in, they're overwhelmed for the first 3 weeks. They're trying to get acclimated to campus, a new class schedule, new professors, plus me, and trying to get through all of the training. So there's a lot of stressors for first years, and it usually takes them 2 to 3 weeks just to feel like they're in a rhythm. So taking away the stress of traveling with us for volleyball, even the in-class or versus remote setting, they were able to really feel like they could immerse themselves and not worry about any external factors. So we saw a lot of positives in the type of training that we have been able to take advantage of. In these last couple of weeks, they don't even look like first years anymore. And I think it's due to the opportunities we've had to train. With that being said, I know how excited they are to finally put a jersey on tomorrow and compete. So it's just been almost like keeping that carrot out in front. You're actually going to get it. Luckily, we get it tomorrow. But all that training was for something. It's for us to finally be able to play in the OAC.
So you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but along the same lines, how does it feel to be at the point where the season is finally about to begin?
It's weird because even now, the amount of training we've had since January to date is abnormal. Normally for volleyball, we can be in the weight room, but we only get 15 days to train with the volleyball and 1 day of competition. So for us to have had the opportunities to train the fall versus where we're at now, it's very exciting to see what we're going to look like as a cohesive unit. Unfortunately, our seniors aren't playing this year. So it's great to see this group that we're working with now is going to be the same exact group we'll have in the fall. So we're excited for us to start tomorrow and just really get the ball rolling for actually the whole volleyball conference for the first match. So very, very excited.
So going into last season, the team as a whole had a lot of youth and not quite as much experience. Mm-hmm. So during the season last year, it seems as though a number of your players made great strides to be able to this year weather the losses of your senior class. Mm-hmm. So namely on the outside, Kirsten Jutt and Carly Wilson have graduated, mm-hmm. which leaves Miranda Jordan and Delaney Nahikian as your top 2 outside hitters. So overall, how are you feeling about that group?
I am so proud of them. I know that when our current technically seniors who we lost, Isabel Jimenez, Jessica Gavlak, and Leanne Osborne, they were really big shoes that have left the program. And when they did decide that they wouldn't be able to play, there wasn't a dry eye. You know, this is really a very cohesive, connected group, and we take the CAP fam seriously. And it truly is a sisterhood. So I know how nervous Delaney and Miranda were to have to immediately jump into these shoes where they thought they'd still have the Leannes and Izzy's to follow behind. And instead, they're just making the mark for leadership. Coincidentally, they're also in our leadership council. So the team already has a lot of faith in them and their abilities. It's just a matter of them believing in themselves. So from a coach's perspective, I'm thrilled and excited to see what they're going to bring starting tomorrow, because what they've done in practices and off the court has already shown me that their maturity from the first day they came into the program to now is above my expectations.
So on the outside, it seems like you've kind of been thrust into the spotlight there with a couple of your players. In the middle, Kaylie Hamby, she was one of your more reliable players for you, along with Regina Setnorowski slotting in from time to time. In the past, that position has been a little thin. But now you've brought in a number of new young players to create some depth. So who do you see stepping up and being able to contribute this year?
So we actually moved, we call her Regina. We moved Gina to the opposite. She's better suited there. Her size is able to put up a really strong and reliable block. So that did leave a lot of room to recruit some middles. Yes, of course, we have Kaylie Hamby. She is leading the pack, and in practice, she's proven that she should lead the pack. We still have Victoria Green. We call her Tori. She's able to fill in on the pin or in the middle. And then we have newcomers, Mackenzie Halliday and Grace Grundy. And Grace Grundy has grown the most. She was one of the first ones to really buy in as a first year, which is why her growth really set the tone for the rest of the first years. They saw how fast she was getting acclimated to our offensive schemes. She was picking up the speed of the game, which I think is the hardest part about being a first year. High school in Ohio, of course, is extremely competitive. But when you get to the collegiate level, it's just a lot faster. So it's really hard to adjust. So very excited to see what Grace Grundy is going to do for us tomorrow and Friday. And then on the opposite, following Regina, we have Audrey James and Alyssa Holler. And these two bring in that personality piece. Rather stoic, hardworking, they keep their head down, but they're able to still bring a spark with their play. Alyssa especially is such a hustler, and she came through a lot of adversity from the fall. She was injured, so she didn't get to do a lot with us, and you would never know it now. She's just really put her head down. She paid attention to everything we were doing in the fall, and very excited to see what these two do tomorrow and Friday.
That's great. So at the defensive specialist spot, you also have some depth.
Mm-hmm.
But Erin O'Connell was a big performer last season and looks to be the main player with a few others behind her. So given all the players in that position as well, what will the competition look like for playing time?
It's been fun at practice because Erin, Perry Furness, Michaela Recker, and Aubrey Margroff, they are constantly chomping at Erin's heels. And it keeps Erin on edge in a good way, but it also keeps the other three hungry because they do get those opportunities in practice to be the faux libero at practice. I know at the same time, they have so much respect for Erin. So when they have these opportunities to rush to a position at practice, they let her go first and then they fill in. And I challenge them to beat her to the spot. And it really just creates a different kind of mindset and a competitive mindset at practice. But Perry did a lot for us last year as a first year, and she's shown a lot of growth this year. And we're really excited about Michaela. She's from Colorado, different background as far as her volleyball IQ goes. And she truly is the spark. That's been one of her role words for our team. And she has made plays that none of us, I don't think anyone in the OAC would expect. She's able to just really put herself out there. She sacrifices her body. And from a defensive perspective, she's made everyone else around her better because they want to do what she's doing. So as far as defense goes, it's something we focused on starting in January. And it's a new mentality. It's a new identity for us.
So finally at setter, Janae Cox played a lot last season with Emily Cooper not very far behind. It seems like that position might be the one where you have the most experience. So how are you feeling about that spot in the lineup?
I am so proud of Janae. She has taken all of the coaching she's received in the last 3 years, and we're just starting to see this air of confidence and maturity on the court. She's always had it off the court, but on the court, it's taken so much to really give her that push and see her believe in what all of us are seeing, which is just her volleyball IQ, her abilities. Everyone wants to be on her side of the court because her attitude and energy is so contagious. So seeing some new stuff out of her this year has been awesome and really fun from a coach's perspective. Emily Cooper has remained very consistent, but we also have this dark horse coming into play, Reagan Willoughby, and she has blown everybody out of the water. She's worked really, really hard for what she's done at practice. And she's had opportunities, to just run the court on her own. So that has added a new competitive piece to that position that wasn't as competitive before. But very excited. We're very confident in our offense. And I don't know how much you know about this, but we usually joke that setters don't like to play defense, but these three do. They really like to put themselves out there, and that's just because we've built so much trust on the team. So it's been very, very great to see the growth in that position as well.
It sounds like really you've been very, very proud of all your players at every position and seeing their growth everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine that leadership has played a large role in that and in keeping your team focused throughout all of the waiting and the unknown. So you talked about a little bit at the beginning, but who are the players that you have seen step up and take on those leadership roles?
So we have individuals that have earned their way into those title, so to speak, positions. And we do have a leadership council. So we have individuals that do get that captain title, and then others that are a part of just the leadership council. So in essence, we have 3 individuals currently who tend to make a lot of decisions that regard the team. You know, when are we going to show up? What are we wearing? What are expectations on the weekends? What are expectations at practice? And really outlining some of the overall team rules that are player-based. Of course, I have my set of rules and code of conduct, but you have to give them some piece of delegation for them to then go on and create their own type of leadership and identity for the team each year. With that being said, we also have those individuals that know how to lead just at practice. They lead by example, or they lead with their attitude. They lead with effort. And a big thing we've done this year is each player has had to find their identity with a role word. So everyone has a word that encompasses what their role is at practice. We have people that are a motivator, a trailblazer, gracious. A lot of words like that have come up, and that's something for them to use to get reset. Whether they're a supporter, they're a leader, they're someone that's quiet or someone that's really vocal, they all just need to dive into that role and be really confident with it because that's a part of their personality. So from a title perspective versus what we're expecting from first years through juniors, everyone has a different type of role. And in a way, they're all leaders just in their own path and own avenue.
Absolutely. So lastly, what's the feeling around the team right now that the season it's starting tomorrow, you know, for you as a coach, but also for your players?
In all honesty, this morning was a little rough. We had a 7 a.m. practice due to schedules. So once we got warmed up and going, we had that focus. They knew and they practiced like we have a match tomorrow. They really focused on the game plan that we are going to execute for tomorrow, whether it's offensive strategies or defensive strategies. So I know that they have this new air about them because the other piece that we've really worked on is you have to know that you can get it done. And when you walk on the court, you have to act like it too. And we're starting to see that at practice. So I'm very excited to see what we're going to do tomorrow. And I wish I had a different word other than excited. I know I've probably said that about 50 times, but we just are. They're ready, they're focused, and they know that they've just worked so hard to have these opportunities, and they're excited to show what they have to prove, you know, and it's really that we're here to play. We're in the OAC, one of the toughest conferences, and, you know, we're earning our keep at the table.
Well, thank you for sitting down with me today, Coach. And we are excited also and looking forward to opening day tomorrow. You get to play 2 matches versus Audrey.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for the time.